They want attacking, purposeful football all the time. Now we've got our backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And puts player back in front.
From inside the centre square. Boys kick the goal. Boys kick the goal. From inside the centre. I can't believe that.
Hey, welcome to Danny Boyd, a podcast about the greatest football club in the multiverse, or any multiverse. That is the Footscray Football Club. Proprietary Limited, trading as Western Bulldogs. I'm Danny McGinlay. Tom Boyd, let's not even bother with any niceties or let's dispense with the pleasantries.
I agree.
Because we've got a guest, for only the second time in our history, and for the first time to have them in the flesh, we have a Premiership captain.
Arguably the most important individual in the Western Bulldogs history alive today.
Oh, that's a good argument. I would love to watch you two have that argument.
I said arguably. I didn't say definitely.
You're not making the argument.
Now, was that start hot? Because I think we should really start with the most important things. Why aren't you coming to the March 11 live show, Woody? What are you doing? What is so important that you're not going to be the esteemed high poobah guest that we
thought
need?
This would be the best way to announce to have the Bullgod himself.
He comes back from Indonesia, walks into the live show and just, rallies around the Bulldogs army. What are you doing? Tell us.
I actually forget, what was that night?
It's an afternoon.
You're doing a cricket final.
Oh, that's right.
Which you can't even bowl at because you're injured again.
So the great thing, as listeners would love to hear, consistently injured across multiple sports. So
I think
I've taken that lesson out of football, brought it across to cricket because yes, I'm a cricketer now.
Who do you play for?
I play for the Pombanite Bulls.
My favourite team.
Exactly right.
we did get a question about that.
Mate, we're big in the Southwest. Look them up. We're a great little
What's
club.
The league?
It's the Southwest Cricket Association. So we're planted right between Colac and Warrnambool. And we're everything in between. And little old Pombanite is a beautiful little club that there's only one shop in entirety of.
It's a cricket shop.
It's a mart. It's an antique mart. It's the only place you can see going past.
I like this.
And the little club, we have over 10 teams, which is
insane.
Correct. So the people
diesel prices.
No, it's just a testament to the work that the people within the club, namely Luke Reynolds and Dave Murphy and Grant Place and a few others, that have just made this place a little oasis. So you're driving past the highway. If you ever go between Camperdown and Colac on the Princess Highway, there's one cricket oval that you'll see. It's in pristine condition.
It's next to the mart. How far from the mart?
It's about stone's throw, you'd say.
Stone's throw. Does the mart? Okay, so
there's a crow flies.
There's no one around, but there's 10. Does the mart sell meth? Is that what's?
Look, I don't know what the draw is. I'm not sure quite it's meth.
I don't know how it's surviving.
Just a beautiful club. There's five men's teams and 5 women's teams across juniors and seniors, and it's a little club doing big things.
When could our listeners come and watch Easton Wood, play cricket? Because I'm sure there's a lot of obviously
playing this weekend.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Yeah.
So
we've got 3 games left to go. Sorry, 2 games left before finals. Pombanite's currently sitting second. And so we're guaranteed finals.
Yeah, well, I did tell Danny that you couldn't come to the live show because the finals.
Yeah, because March 11 is our semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. That's not the Bulldogs' way.
That's not the grand final.
I know. He goes, no, we're locked in. We can't miss. And look, I don't know if you realise this, Woody, but this podcast is huge. Like, there's tens of thousands of people listen to every episode, and all of them just fell off their chair hearing that you're injured again. So what have you actually done? Walk us through it. Because I thought that after years of torment,
it, mate.
And we will get into one of your injuries.
I could.
I've got a list of I've got a list of his injuries here.
Good.
Because
Okay.
here's a fun
How'd you
fact.
fit that in one book?
This is a fun fact that I didn't realise about you, Easton Wood. Boydie, let's play a guessing game. How many matches do you reckon Easton Wood played in the first 7 years at the Bulldogs?
50?
Slightly higher.
65?
Bang!
Oh, there you go.
Well done.
More than I played in my career.
That's actually more than I thought.
Let's go through a list of your injuries. Hamstring, ankle, shoulder, and I didn't know this one, lymphatic cancer.
Oh, yeah. Where did that come from?
That was
How did you pick
Wikipedia.
that up? Oh, wow. So, no, I didn't have lymphatic cancer, but I was screened for it. In my first year, I had
I was about to say, I should know this.
No, it was a nothing kind of. I had really low iron. I was running around playing for Willie, and back in the days out on the ocean in the Willie 2s, mind you.
Oh,
those were
grim
days. I played a lot of Willie 2s games. That's why I only played 65 AFL games. I was running around kicking the dew off at Willie. But no, I had really low iron. I remember running and thinking, God, I can't. I'm so tired, and it wasn't just a tired of like, this is a football game, I'm knackered. This is a football game, I'm really tired. Like, it was, no, there's something wrong. So I went and got screened, and all my lymphatic system was all swollen. So like under my armpits and everywhere else. And the famous doctor, Jakey Landsberger, he was wonderful because he said, look, we're going to need you to go and do this test, but he didn't tell me what the test was and what they were testing for. So
that's good though, isn't it?
I found out that I was clear of lymphatic cancer.
So they come out.
Also at the same time that I found out I was being screened for lymphatic cancer.
They come out, you don't have cancer.
It was a really lovely, it was like, oh, good, I can relax.
I think that's probably for the best.
I was 18 at the time. Imagine what, like, I'm a pretty big overthinker anyway. That would have absolutely spiraled me.
What a way to, if you were testing positive, surely, what a way to find out.
Yeah.
You're
like,
positive.
Oof.
What for? Well, surprise.
Yeah, I've got bad news. Well, how bad? That's pretty bad.
It is funny how people think they can shelter you from the news that you're trying to get.
But I'm glad he did.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Is this true? Because I feel like this popped into my head, and it might be a true story. Did you actually once tear a hamstring sneezing or something like that?
Oh no, I didn't. But I mean, I'm sure I could have. I did actually have a cramp so bad one night that I woke up and I thought I'd tore it from cramping in bed. And I was like, was that a nightmare? Because I'm pretty sure that's just happened.
On a serious note, how did you deal with that? I didn't really have many issues with soft tissue. Mine were much more sort of structural issues. But what is the sort of thought process you go through, given that at any moment, and that's not exaggerating, I think it's fair to say that at any moment you could, mid-game, mid-training session, how do you play, to the best of your ability and expand your, capabilities without worrying about basically just falling over and snapping something?
It took a great deal of work. I mean, our psychologist at the club, Lisa Stevens, I worked extensively with weekly for, I think, over a decade. So that was often a topic of conversation. I mean, I tore 20 hammies over the time, so there's plenty of chance to talk about it. Was it always the same one,
or was it equilibrium?
Both. I think I'm even 10-10. not that I've gone back and actually looked at it, because it's actually there's just such a vast amount that were such small little nicks that were grade 1 or like didn't even show up on a scan.
Yeah,
or there was like a little bit of stuff there. I remember having. When Chris Bell came to the club for the first time, I got a scan. I was like, Bally, there's something in my hamstring. There's something wrong. And the scan didn't show anything. And the next session, ping, it went. So he realised early that we should listen to what my body's saying.
Yep. And that he needed to allocate extra budget.
I mean, it didn't help. 20 of them still went.
Yeah. and you need to allocate
maybe
extra.
Less. Maybe it could have been 40. So who knows? Like,
how much money do you reckon you cost the club in scans?
Oh,
what is it? $500 a pop?
At least.
What happens with I know an X-ray for bones.
MRI.
Yeah.
So you got to sit in the big MRI.
I would have had 20 in my career at least.
How long do they take?
Between 20 and an hour.
Yeah.
And you got to stay perfectly still, is that right?
Yeah, only on when the scan's
and
going.
If you're claustrophobic, this is the worst thing in the entire world, is that narrow tube and you are in it and you can't move.
Or if you've been injured and it's a night game and you're absolutely buggered and it's 7 a.m. in the morning getting a scan and you're falling asleep in there and you keep sort of, twitching. Tom, can you please sit still? We can't see the picture properly.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm in a metal tube.
Yeah.
So it's like flying jet
And it's not as if you're small.
No. And it's one size fits all.
I feel cramped in there. They don't exactly get the extra large out.
Yeah, I had my back scanned a few times. That is like nightmare.
takes
and
forever.
I'm not claustrophobic, but that was nightmare stuff.
So for you, it's like flying Jetstar. For Caleb Daniel, it's like first class.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Wow. It would be, I suppose. So how many do you reckon you had over the course of your career? At a thumb suck?
He's like 60, 70, maybe more. I mean...
It's like 50 grand.
Yeah.
And is it always the same hospital?
Yeah, always at the same spot.
So really, you just
First
contributed.
name, mate. I'm first name basis with everyone in there.
And you're contributing to the
Easton?
local economy.
Yeah.
Look at you. You are keeping
The
Victorian
local
health
economy
alive.
of Toorak, where all of the surgeons
is that
and
where it is?
radiologists live.
I think they're doing fine.
Isn't it the
Vic
Western
House
Hospital?
Vic House is going
Not
just
quite.
fine. Don't know. We went east side to go to get our scans.
Yeah.
Jeez, we've changed as a club.
Well, I also, at certain stages in our career, there were moments where scans did become a bit scarce towards the end of the year.
Oh, really?
Well, there is a budget for it. And, if you're not the best player in the club, strap it up, mate. You'll be right. We're pretty sure we know what it is. That happened to the Giants, actually, definitely. Like, there was you don't need a scan, mate. We can't afford to scan you. We wouldn't be the worst club. I guarantee some of the clubs have been struggling for some cash over the last few years. Would be very selective with their scanning.
North Melbourne, they actually just bring out the board game operation and go point to where it hurts.
Well, when North were really struggling, my guess is that whoever, I think it was one of the Rollings boys, was doing everything. So he probably ran the scan himself. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure he was doing footy ops. He was the CEO. He was helping out as the coach.
MRI technician.
It was, apparently, for a little while there, it was very sparse, the amount of people working in that department.
I believe it. So, Woody, let's go. I mean, what do you reckon was the turning moment of your career? Going from playing 65 games in 7 years to, I would actually genuinely love, if I had a time machine, I would love to talk to myself and some other fans and just genuinely lay the truth bomb at the end of 2014 after you've been, played, is that 65 games probably at that point? And just say, Easton Wood is going to be a Premiership captain.
In 2 years.
In 2 years. And just see the disbelief on people's face. But what happened that made you the awesome juggernaut that you were?
There's two parts to this because, the turning point happened, but it took 2 years for it to really bear fruit or materialise as, okay, that was the moment that things kind of changed. So in 2013, I did a hamstring for something different in the in the pre-season competition. We were playing in bloody Mandurah.
What was it called?
Mandurah out at Perth. It was the
Wizard
NAB Challenge, I think.
Oh, right. NAB had taken
Wizard. I never played a Wizard Home Loans game. I know I'm old.
I remember
I'm old,
Bulldogs were
but
good in the Wizard Home Loan over the years.
because that's where you want to be good.
That's where do we win? No, we won the NAB Cup.
I think it was Wizard.
Was it Wizard back
we-
then?
we've spoken about this before.
I'm a NAB Premiership player.
So
mate.
you're a dual Premiership player.
Correct.
Hang on, who was captain? Because I know Brad Johnson didn't play, so he wasn't
Didn't
even our night game.
All I remember is I only played the last quarter, so I was the sub. And so I came on. We played St Kilda. Barry Hall's kicked 7 or 8 goals, and
was awesome.
And he'd just come to the club. So oh my god, we finally found our centre half forward. Here is the Messiah in the second coming. Anyway, so I've just been. I think I'm 19 at the time, and I'm just watching the game, and because it had gone for so long, didn't get to come on until the fourth quarter. I was just like a spectator. I'd completely switched until it's this is great.
Come
watching,
on, boys.
Cruising. So I got out there and it was like I was asleep. I was running around, had no idea what I was doing. But anyway.
Still, at that point, I remember that game just going, this could be the only time I see the Dogs win silverware.
Yeah.
I'm going to lap it up.
We win, the siren goes. I'm thinking, how good is this? We've won. This is
such an
Premiership.
awkward
It was
moment.
kind of but the guys were celebrating, but it was a subdued celebration, obviously.
Yeah.
But obviously, so Rocket sprinted onto the ground. He was not in celebration mode. I quickly found by the expression on his face, and he sprinted straight to me and he said, he's like, "What the? Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah. Swear away.
Anyway, he's like, what the fuck have you been doing? You're running around. I don't know what the hell you've been doing this entire quarter. Worst game I've seen you play." And walked off. And I was like,
Worst
okay,
quarter
well,
I've seen you play.
I literally I did nothing, but he obviously didn't like what he saw.
Stuffed up enough things in one quarter.
But that little moment of we've won, that elation, it was quickly shifted.
Did that ruin your dream of winning the NAB Cup? By the way, it was. I'm just checking on my phone. It was the NAB Cup at that
very
stage.
NAB
It's interesting
Cup,
how
that's right. How did we get to the NAB Cup?
Well, we were talking about
challenge.
We're talking about your
Played a NAB challenge and I did a hamstring.
We were talking about your turning point.
Yes.
in your
So
career.
I did a hamstring in the NAB challenge in start of 2013. We played in Mandurah and we got beaten by Fremantle by a good 120 points. So it was a great
so far away,
a great
Mandurah.
precursor to the season. Fly all
going
the way
to
to
Ballarat.
Perth and then you get on the bus and I don't know how long that bus ride took, but it was forever.
20 or something.
Anyway, all that sitting down was good for my back and loading my hamstrings. And ping went the hamstring in 35-degree heat in the third quarter, and thought, bloody hell, here we go again. But back to the old friend of rehab the whole thing, and
Very tedious rehabbing hamstrings.
oh, horrific.
particular.
What does it involve for us muggles?
Well, you can't. Soft tissue injuries are so frustrating because it's not a pain tolerance threshold injury. It's a matter of if you feel it at all at any point, you have to stop. That is your ceiling. So if I did a shoulder, you could manage and push through that. If you do an ankle, you can manage and you can push through that. It's just a matter of being able to produce power under pain. Whereas this
You can't strap a
situation is
hamstring.
you can't strap a hamstring. And if you go to where you feel it or you're getting symptoms, you're actually creating damage. So you're making it worse. So you have to treat that so seriously, and it's not something you can push, which as an athlete is so you're an inherent risk taker.
Yeah. And the good thing
And
is
you just can't do it. And you have to listen to the medical staff and you have to trust them that, no, this is what this injury is and this is the timetable to return. It doesn't matter how good you feel, you can't do anything about it.
And the good thing is hamstrings really don't react well to speed or power, and you didn't have much of that. So,
oh my God.
like your whole game revolved around jumping and sprinting.
It's just a curse.
And
Anyway.
as you would know, much
Curse the
better
bloody
than I,
things.
The recovery from a hamstring is basically a speed tolerance issue. A lot of it, right?
Yeah.
Which is
it's
like,
a matter of
can I
being
run
able
this
to get up
fast?
to speed safely and tick that off. And until you can tick that off, that takes, for the most minor hamstring injury, it can be 3 weeks.
What was your longest one?
12
months?
weeks. Yeah.
12 weeks. Which
I
is
did-
basically as bad as you can do it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So I had two of those. Both
and was
sides.
this your turning point?
No. So I did it gets worse.
We're going like a.
Well, this is the thing. You need. It's always
called a
what is it, the
breakdown,
darkest
I think.
before the
Yeah.
dawn. Correct.
Yeah, a breakdown.
So I do the rehab and I come back and I managed to get picked to go straight back into the side, and it's round 3 versus Richmond at Etihad.
2013 still.
2013 still. Anyway, 5 minutes into the game, all I've done, I've given away a free kick and haven't touched the ball. So
It's only 5 minutes.
I then chase my opponent over the boundary line, and as I step, I feel my left hamstring it honestly felt like it exploded. I was like, oh my God. I just felt it rip, and it felt like a bang and just a massive let go. I remember just limping to the bench and just in complete disbelief and just like, oh no. So this was one of the 12-weekers. This was a big one. So tendon gone.
So you've just done 12 weeks, now you're doing another 12 weeks on the other.
I've just done a month.
Okay.
I've come back, played 5 minutes.
3 months.
And now I'm out for 3 months.
And he's
So
also
my
lost his
2013 season, I played 5 minutes, and I don't have a prospect of getting fit to play a game until round 16.
Yeah.
Now,
And you've lost you straight back into the side card too, probably.
Probably shouldn't have had it in the first place, if we're honest.
That's a card given to only a few players after long injuries, and
Yoink, we'll be taking that.
come back.
So it got, and this is where it gets worse. So I do the 12-week rehab, which was just horrible. Rehab's a lonely place, particularly when you've been there a lot before.
The team was no good this year?
Is so painful. No, this was a
2013,
year of where
pretty bad, but good towards the end.
Correct.
Yeah.
And Ryan Griffin had, I think, the single greatest season
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
watched anyone play. He was incredible.
Superstar.
And
Just missed out on finals. Like, just left our run probably 1 week too late.
And it was Brendan McCartney's second year as coach, and it was starting to see, okay, maybe this is bearing some real fruit. We're starting to learn how to play together, and it's there's evidence that this is working, and it's really positive, right? So I'm in that rehab situation. I get back. I'm finally ready to play a game. So I sit down with Peter German, who was the Williamstown
Germo.
coach at the time. Shout out Germo.
You could do a whole podcast on him too, I reckon.
Oh, really?
We
Sweet.
do more than one.
Love to.
And Germo sits down and says, "Yeah, Woody, no, look, I see you coming back through the twos, get some games underneath you." And I'm sitting here thinking, when he says twos, that means the Williamstown twos. I'm I'm sitting here thinking I'm in my 7th year of AFL. I've just missed an entire season through hamstrings, and now my prospect is playing in the Williamstown Twos, not for one game, but for multiple.
Did you have a contract?
Thank Christ. I had one for 2014, and I genuinely believe if I didn't have one for 2014, it was either going to be onto the rookie list or out.
Wow.
And rookie list is like 40 grand at that stage.
Yeah. So I played the 2 games in the Willie Twos, which was just like
I can't imagine.
I'm pretty good with my ego, but that hurt. That really did.
And it doesn't help you either because playing at that level brings you down to that level.
I got tagged. Now, if anyone listening, I am not a player to tag.
No.
I am a defensive player.
You're in defence. How do you tag a defender?
He hadn't worked out how to steal the ball off the opposition as well by then, I would have thought,
I
right?
had this young kid running next to me the whole day, and if I
We're going to get some
kept it
skins on
together,
you.
but if
Did that
was
kid grow up to be anyone? Toby Green?
jeez, I don't think he was playing in the Twos. But then I played 2 games in the Williamstown Seniors, so I managed to get got promoted.
I was about to say.
So things are getting better. But then someone got injured, and they had to pick me to play for the last 4 games of the season. So I played the last 4 games of the season. But what had happened during my rehab, I was so frustrated to be going backwards. It was like I need to go forwards in some way. So I was in the gym and I was working my ass off.
You were massive.
And I put on 4 or 5 kilos.
Nice.
And I
So you couldn't
got
run.
big. So yes, we finally got back in the team, and it quickly dawned on me I was too heavy.
This is such a Mitch Wallace thing to do.
It was. It's like I look great, but all this muscle on my shoulders and chest and back is doing nothing for me
It's not
because I
helping me
can't
run.
get to the contest to compete because I'm too tired to
I
use
was good
it.
in the warm up.
So that the season ends, and chatting in my exit interview and with Brendan and the other coaches, they very directly told me that if there was a round 23, I was not going to be picked, and that's how it was going.
Super
And they
helpful.
laid out that correct, and they laid out all the other players who I was competing for with position, and they said, look, next year's going to be really, really hard for you. These guys are improving, and we don't really
Who was it out of
see that you
interest?
are at the moment. JJ
Oh, JJ, right.
and a few others.
Which, when looking back now, is like the most ridiculous comparison of all time. Like
don't
you guys
really
are
play the same way.
or the same role. You can both run, kind of.
Yeah, but basically, so this is the turning point, right? So that experience, and halfway through that rehab of the hamstring in 2013, I realised it's like this could be over. It actually looks like it's going to be. That's a better chance that it will be over rather than it's not. Because at the moment, the evidence of my career is injury,
unreliable.
and disappointment, unreliable, and there's potential. But we've had 7 years to see potential, and it hasn't. It's
How
not
far in
there,
the future
right?
is potential?
Occasional flashes
Exactly.
of looking shredded and awesome.
And
Yeah, great.
the flowing greasy hair behind the head.
This is gone by then.
Oh, okay. This is the shaved head era then, probably.
I was close to.
Yeah.
And
Good look.
but basically, I was forced to confront that idea or that reality that this could end, and that was a really powerful thing because it made me really honestly look at the way that I had applied myself throughout that 7-year period, and when I really boiled it down and looked at it and looked in the mirror, I was just like, well, I actually haven't done everything that I possibly could. When I'm really honest with myself, if I ask that question, have I left no stone unturned and actually had been all in on this thing? I don't think I have. And that was because I didn't have ways to deal with stress or pressure and manage that. And as a young kid, that would just manifest in escapism. So weekends were binge drinking and running away and just being something else. And as you would know, binge drinking and an AFL career don't go hand in hand. Very common, but it was something that needed to go. So realized that okay, now I'm going to actually be all in, and I started that in 2013 in the middle of that rehab. It's okay, I'm stopping drinking, and football is coming first in everything from here, and I'm going to explore avenues to actually properly deal and develop tools to deal with stress, pressure, disappointment, and all these things. And throughout that process, being healthier off the field and developing healthier or healthy tools to manage the challenges that football provide, and a bit of luck. I played 18 of the first 19 games in 2014 and was relatively healthy. And the thing that got me, I broke my hand at the end of the year and had to miss the last 3 or 4 games. That was just a freak accident. And then with all the chaos that ensued at the end of 2014, yeah.
I've never been called chaos before, but
Chaos
with that, let's call it the silver lining. Yeah. Old Tom the Saviour comes along. But no, the club completely shifted with Bevo coming and Murph becoming captain, and I was in a position where I was healthy in my body and I was healthy in my mind, and then with the new way that Bevo wanted us to play, all of a sudden,
old mate Weston.
It suited me more than I could have ever expected, and that gave me the opportunity to play as an attacking defender rather than
All-Australian 15?
In 15, yeah. Right. So
I actually want a time machine now and tell you that you're going to be a premiership captain in 2 years.
I would have been the one that would have believed you the least.
Yeah. Well, I think, and look, I can say this now because I've obviously seen how hard you worked in the career when I was there, but you were, I suppose, lucky to last that long. Most players don't get 7 years to figure it out. Injuries,
absolutely true.
Form, all of that sort of stuff. Most players get spat out after a couple of years if they can't find some continuity. So it's pretty crazy that it turned out the way that it did. Because what did you play after that moment? You played another 5 years, 6 years. What did you play? 12 in the end?
I played till 2021. So
so another 6 years.
Another 6 years.
Yeah, it's a long time.
And finally,
it's a tale of two halves, as you could say.
Massively. And not to say I didn't work hard in my first 7 years.
No, of course,
I still
you can't get away with
really
not
hard,
working
but it was a matter of I separated the two lives. That's my football life, and this is my outside life. And the outside life wasn't conducive to a successful football life. And once I could actually pull my finger out and realize, hey mate, this isn't working.
And I think it's true for everyone, right? But particularly for someone who's prone to injuries like you, it's like that's the 1% difference.
Absolutely.
A lot of players can get through by
and a lot of them do.
Yeah, that's a genetic thing as much as anything, I'd say.
But the frustrating thing, like even with giving it everything, I still would have done another 10 hamstrings after that point.
Yeah, so but you
couldn't have a whiskey to dull the pain.
I didn't have to go home and feel guilty about it. I'd done everything that
as much as anything
I could, and that was a real important piece to the psychology of it. It was a matter of how do I live with that disappointment, and I was happy to live with that disappointment if I'd stuck to my routine and my process, because that's all I could do. You can't control outcomes. You can only create opportunities.
Yep.
And I gave myself from that point every opportunity to be successful, to be healthy. And that made it a lot easier to deal with the disappointment of breaking down, which was a constant.
Sounded like it unlocks your confidence on the field as much as anything. Given the statement, I think if you were trying to write a book about what happened, it would be very easy to go, I was doing hamstrings and I wasn't doing everything right, and then I did everything right and the hamstrings stopped happening. But realistically, that's not the case. It was more so it was the time on the field that changed in terms of your capability to perform. Yep. Maybe you avoided a couple. Who knows? It's hard to say, obviously.
It is hard to say,
but it certainly obviously provided you with the form uplift that you were looking for, and so quickly too, in a way, right? Like
that was what Bevo, the difference that Bevo made. Like the way that he wanted us to play defence was tailor-made to my skill set that I didn't even know that I had at that point. Because prior to him coming, I was a dour, lockdown, just a stopper.
Yep.
And
you and Dale.
Yeah, and I would just try and physically dominate my opponent because I was normally either faster, stronger or bigger, but never felt that I was better. It was always just a matter of stick to this person.
Yeah. You were a headless.
Painful way to play.
You're a headless muscle monster. All you do is just chasing people around as an athlete.
And they hate you, and fair enough.
You hate yourself.
I'd hate me too if I was getting played on that way.
I actually, this is really, just occurred to me. So, because you were here for both eras, what really intrigues me is that Brendan built a team to play contested footy, basically, right? Those he's known for that. And the Mitch Wallaces and the Libbers and the Picos and the Dower defenders and all that sort of stuff. And then Bevo came in and completely did the opposite. But funnily enough, the list became, much better fitted for Bevo, even though Brendan had built it for something completely different, which I found I think it's probably representative of the fact is that if your mindset is these people have to do this, you just force people into that position. But if you come in and go, what do I have, like Bevo did, then you can unlock the likes of you and even Dale and Boydie and Bob and Pico would be the biggest one, of course. Now, it didn't work for everyone, and it cost players who probably fitted that previous system, I would say, their time in the team at different stages, especially because we went to that sort of 12-man revolving midfield to start with, and then, it became much more about fast-paced, fleet-footed players as opposed to the big, strong monsters who were in there previously. But was that that must have been a very strange shift for you, given you'd spent 7 years seeing this team get built for something different?
It was a bizarre shift, and particularly because when you've done something for so long, you really do become in the belief that this is the way that it has to be done, and this is the best way that it can possibly be done. So the drastic shift for us in defence, to be able to play physical defence and stop an opponent, you have to play from behind, because to be able to control your opponent, you have to be able to see the opponent and the ball. So you'd always position behind, and that gave you the best chance. Dale Morris would always describe it as the forklifts. So think of a forklift your arms, and you can have both arms either side of the opponent and try and control them without grabbing. But you can use the strength of your forearms.
Yeah, Dale could also lift a forklift, so that helps.
He was a forklift. He's the strongest man alive. And that meant that, you could really physically control your opponent really well and keep your eye on the ball. But it also meant that your opponent had access to the space immediately in front.
And if they were strong and quick off the mark, it's
very difficult to stop them, because you can't actually hold them.
If they can jump too, in particular.
So the drastic shift with Bevo was we would, instead of stand behind, he demanded that all defenders stand in front of
Which
the
was
opponent.
a bit hard in the first stage.
Holy shit. You imagine your whole life has been standing from behind and being able to control who's in front of you.
Yep.
And just the concept that you're stopping your opponent. And his concept was, well, no, if you can get the ball, get the ball.
Yeah.
And if you stand in front, you get access to the ball.
Having said that, never an easier day as a forward if the guy in front of you doesn't know how to play properly that way.
Correct.
Never an easier day. We played against Melbourne that first year after in 16 in that pracky in Craigieburn. Probably had 50 metres on Lyndon Dunn the whole game. It was awesome.
Don't you just point above your head, like kick it over our heads?
It's just all you have to do is let them just take them up.
There's a lot of things that have to go right for it to be done right, but when it's done right, it is
unstoppable. Yeah,
it is completely unstoppable, and the shift was incredible, because forwards love space. So if you stand in front of them, like you would, you did. You lick lick their lips. You go, finally, we've got space and freedom to move. But with the way that our midfield was able to put pressure, and if there was no pressure on the ball, you were dead in the water. Yep. So that was the key component. You needed to have pressure on the ball, because the kick had to be a rushed, forced kick out of there. So if it wasn't, you could still defend, but it made it quite difficult.
Big forwards did used to kick goals on us, and that was the same at Hawthorn too.
You always got to give something to get something.
The big guys loved playing that way, which is why I said I love playing that way. But those sort of fleet-footed, mid-sized guys who love playing with defenders playing on their back shoulder, they get lost straight away.
Yep.
And so, the stringers, say this Jake of the world, he would hate playing against it because it took away all of the things that he loved.
So you'd think he would, because he'd be having all this space and he'd be flying up. Yeah. Get the kicks over, But it was a matter of, no, this is the process. And when we were effective with it, it was the best cat and mouse game ever, because you could see the forward starting to realise after you've taken 4 or 5
Yeah.
marks. It's like,
And
hey, mate,
you've kicked a couple goals.
you're not even close to it.
Yeah, and you're actually
Like-
hurting the team.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so demoralising.
You're going to hate the review on Monday.
God, I wish they could release DVD box sets of just what do you call that?
Behind the goals footage. You need behind the goals footage.
I would just love that.
They have it at all the major stadiums.
Why aren't they releasing those DVDs for the fans so I can just watch Easton Wood for a quarter? Just
And you can watch that cat and mouse game because, standing in front, you do need to position yourself to your opponent, but you have to. It's eyes on the ball.
Well, yeah.
And I think that's what I didn't understand or didn't realize that I had a talent at, was being able to read pressure and react to the ball. And that was where I could use my speed and power to
and leap.
position myself to get to contests. And I'd often be the third man coming across because we had the permission. Like, if you can get the ball, go get it. So my bloke could be running the other way, the ball would get kicked to a different contest, and I go, well, fuck you, I'm leaving. And I'll go and get the ball. And more often than not, it did.
Yeah, and so don't take this as a criticism. You almost
Sounds like you're about to be critical.
No,
Yeah.
it'll make sense once I finish. So you you almost led the league in contested marking in 2015, is that right? Or you're right up there.
I'm not sure.
Anyway, you're right. I remember it basically being like contested marks. You were like right up there. And the funny thing about playing the way we did, whilst they definitely were contested marks, some of them, to your point, it was some of the easiest contested marks ever.
No one knew it was coming.
Yeah, and with a guy like us, with a spring like yours, it wasn't like
jump over.
you took some incredible marks in your career, but it wasn't like every one was this incredible screamer. You were just floating across packs basically with no one on you because you read the ball so much better than your man.
Exactly. And we had the space to do that.
Was there a certain game where you suddenly realised your powers? Was it sort of like I know you're a big Star Wars fan. Was it sort of like was it Luke? You just suddenly you could hit the Death Star.
It actually took a while. Like I mean, the game where I kind of realised as a team that we were not what people were saying we were, which was wooden spooners, irrelevant, and that was the Sydney
show
game
of a club.
at the
Shit show of a club.
was the SCG game where we won it in
the wet.
last,
Yeah.
in the wet.
Oh, yes.
In the
That was
last
such a
minute.
good game.
Mark this date down, Dogs fans, as Anthony Hudson says.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's me running out the back, sprinting to pick up the ball.
That's
on my
right.
own. It's wet. I'm thinking the game's literally on the line.
'Cause
Don't fuck this up.
Who's chasing you? It's
I
someone,
didn't know. I'm not looking at him.
Someone
I'm
very
looking at the
fast
ball.
from memory.
Someone very good as well. It's someone like Goodsey or just like I remember I
Didn't
was
have time
panicking.
to turn around and look.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm just trying to pick this ball up and managed
We
to
had a couple of
pick it
crackers
up and
there.
get it out. And then the siren goes, just like, oh my God, this is
Matty
incredible.
Boyd had a moment like that too, that game from memory. It was
Yeah,
just sort of
I
like-
handballed it to him.
Oh, right. That's
Yeah.
right. That was that moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a crazy game. And I think that's where a lot of our confidence came from. That
Oh,
year.
that's where the fans
But we'd
believed.
won 3 games before that of the first 4. And
Beat so 50,
Freo to start.
Freo's 2016. West Coast is hang on. Are we talking 15 or 16?
15.
15. West Coast is the
You
first
beat
one.
Freo as well at
Did
some
you-
stage in the first 5 weeks, I reckon.
I
Then
thought
there's
we-
round
played
2's
on Pierce.
Richmond. Round 3 is
Yeah.
Sydney, I think. Hang on. I've got
We lost to Richmond, I think.
no. You
No, we beat Richmond at the G. Didn't
Oh,
we?
did we?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I got like 5 free kicks that day. It
I
was
kicked an
awesome.
elite goal that day.
Jake, this is
Don't
like
kick many.
this is like the forwards mindset. That was Jake's big year. He kicked 55 or whatever, and he took a free kick in the goal square off me, and I've never been more angry at a human being. I was like, you know how much pressure I'm under, and I've just got a free kick off Alex Rance, and he just scragged me. And then Jake, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna smile through this, but don't ever do that. That happened to me. Like honestly, in the first 5 weeks, I reckon I lost 6 goals from people playing on. I was like. And a lot of it was Jake.
Yeah, he loved
He
that.
was very good at that.
Beat West Coast, then beat Richmond, then lost to Hawthorn, then beat Adelaide.
That's right, yeah.
Actually, I remember I was in the cheer squad. That was one of my first times in the cheer squad, that Richmond game. Alex Rance, at one point, there was a ball coming in. He was rushing through behind. He punched it at the cheer squad. It's a bit classic. I was like, oh, it's a bit.
Alex is a
Not
special
cool.
man.
All right, so man, we're coming up to 40 minutes. We haven't even got to 2016 yet, and we got a lot of listener mail. Talk me through. You guys were just talking about before we recorded about your ankle. You got an ankle injury in the second last round against Essendon, or
Yeah.
third last?
Second last.
And what did you have before that? Weren't you injured with something else as
Hamstring,
well?
lymphatic cancer.
Was that just the big one for you? Because we lost a couple of boys against Geelong. We lost Libba and
no,
Jack.
it was me, just the Essendon
Okay,
game.
right.
So yeah, I jumped to spoil the ball and landed, and I don't know if I hit a divot or whatever it was. Etihad was filled with bloody divots.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the turf earlier, but
shocking
didn't
deck.
want to derail the whole hamstring.
Two dislocated ankles, both at Etihad. So I landed and my ankle rolled inwards really sharply.
Which for the fans is way worse than outwards.
Way worse.
There's no blood flow to the inside of your ankle. So
if
you do that, very bad.
And you've got 3 lateral ligaments in your ankle. You've only got 1 medial ligament in your ankle, but the medial in your it is a really large and thick ligament. So if that goes, your entire ankle is completely unstable. Whereas normally when you do your ankle to the lateral side, you can rupture 1 or 2, and at least there's 1 ligament holding on.
Yeah.
There's normally you've got to do a pretty good job on it to rupture all 3.
Yeah, I did that at 17. It was very hard to do.
It's not nice. I did it in 2012.
Yeah.
So I've had...
I did it the year after, so there you go.
And so I land and I get that massive like bang, and I'm sitting on the ground and I just...
Did it hurt?
Oh, incredibly. But at the time, I was just... The instant reaction was just, fuck, you're over.
Yeah. I remember because it wasn't a convincing win. And it was kind of worst case scenario of like, okay, we win, so we don't get fired up about it, but it not convincing, and we lose a key player.
Yeah, and it was like...
And we lost a couple already.
Yeah,
that right. In that Geelong game, I was just thinking...
Because that was Essendon, that was the year Essendon came dead last. They were playing with top-up players. So for us to only win by a couple of goals...
That's
right. I remember nothing about this game.
That's all right. That's what I'm here for.
But don't remember any of it.
So I land and down she goes, and it's just like, oh, God. So... straight to the to get the old MRI.
Yeah. This one you earned, so
it's after a night game, so it's late, tired, and sitting in there, and out come Gary Zimmerman and Jake. They were together. Was it on the phone? I don't forget. It's a long time.
We need to get one after a game. Very endemic.
They came and they were so positive. I couldn't believe it. Was like, oh no, it's good news, Woody. I'm like, what? Like you have to understand my ankle at this point. There's like it's like a grapefruit on the inside of it. Like it is huge. They blow up so horrifically. And anyway, they go, no, it's good news, mate. There's still some of that. The medial ligament isn't totally ruptured. There's still like a little bit intact.
Couple of fibers.
That's literally what they said. There's a couple of fibers. We're all good. We can get some stability in it. And we'll see how we go. So into a boot, I went for a week to try and get the ligament to heal and to scar
from
up.
The first final are we at this stage?
So we had another game and then the week off.
Yeah, and it was only 8 days between last game and first final, I think, because it was a Sunday into a Thursday.
Well, yeah, but with the week off.
Yeah, but Sunday into a Thursday was the shortest possible.
That's right. Like, it's typical of the AFL. They only give us an 11-day break. It's just standard.
It's also one of the reasons why that whole bye won us the grand final is so blown up. It was like if we went Sunday to Sunday and we had 12, proper 2 weeks off, I get it. But
there was no chance.
It was as short as it possibly could have been.
Well, that's the thing. So I came out of the boot for a week, and if we were playing that week, I would have had to be in training at full tilt after a week in a boot, which is
not possible.
It's just not possible.
Yeah.
So even coming out of the boot, I couldn't put a lot of weight through my foot, and it was pretty painful. But rehabbed, and then we get to the week of the elimination final, and we're training, and I'm getting really anxious because as we're training, I start to realise that I can't turn left. I can't run in a left arc, which is really bad because as a right foot kick, you normally run in a slight left arc to open. So anytime I'd plant my left foot and have any kind of opening of that medial ligament, I would get severe pain and lose power. So I was really anxious about that. So we made the call. I was like, guys, I can't go into this game with doubt because I'm captain. I have to be...
It's elimination final.
It's elimination final, and I can't stand in front of a group and speak before a game and say, follow me, when I'm shitting my pants in the background being like, I can't fucking turn left. like this is a problem. So we got a local anaesthetic, and they did a number of locals in my ankle and went back out to train, and hallelujah, I could turn left. I could
You
run.
could turn left. Could you feel? How do you
I had my
feel
power
kicking when you?
I don't kick on my left, so it wasn't a problem.
Oh, of course. Yeah, all right.
It's like
All right, play on.
kicking
And
with a stump.
if I did, you wouldn't notice a difference.
It would-
Trust me.
You'd be well versed to get that thing to spin with the amount of taping that you had
Mate.
on it.
But then came the famous taping that Tom is talking about. Our physio Chris Bell. Honestly, it was
What time did you have to get to the games?
like at least 45 minutes before 3 hours.
Yeah.
So we're meant to be there 2 hours before. This was a good 1 hour, 45-minute job of tape.
There goes the rest of your day.
So we're just sitting there, but it was a work of art. Like Belly literally would be pulling off ripping the tiniest bits of tape and putting pressure within the medial part and just you're effectively just trying to rebuild some kind of medial ligament on
Cutting out that
on the
foam
ankle.
stuff too.
Foam. I almost couldn't get my fucking foot in my boot.
Yeah, you
because
went
there
up
was
a
so
size
much.
in socks.
Seriously. But like the testament to what he did was that throughout that entire 4-week finals campaign, I had no single medial incident the entire time, which was without
And played pretty bloody good.
without a ligament there.
Yeah.
With a couple of fibers there. That was something that we just didn't expect was going to happen.
It was probably the most shocking moment of my career when I knew how bad Woody's ankle was, obviously. It was getting downplayed in the media, I'm sure, at that stage. And we went out against GWS and you took a hanger in like the
Yes,
first
there's
with that ankle.
And much listener mail about that question.
And if you watch it, Woody almost like for Woody's capability to jump, he almost couldn't get off the ground. It was a real awkward.
This
That's
is
why
the
it looks
best
so good.
illustration of
Yeah.
it because I fucked it up.
Yeah, yeah.
I jumped expecting to jump how high I normally jump.
You would have jumped over him.
I literally
and it's Lockie
need-
Whitfield. He's 187. He's not not a short
I
guy.
need him in the
65 kilos dripping wet too.
I need him in the lumbar spine. Like that's where I'm sitting on the small part of his
Yeah,
back.
and that's why it looks so good. It was like it was more of a less of a jump, more of a balancing act,
Yeah.
if you will.
But it's such it was such a big moment early on in the game because it all had been spoken about, GWS the skills and they've had a week off and the dogs are injured, everything. But what they didn't have that day is the pure spirit. And that was the first symbol we had of it, of just going, oh. That's when a lot of us began to believe.
Yeah.
Was there talk about do something amazing early on?
Oh, yeah, that's what they tell us to do.
Well, I don't know.
Take
Go out
hangers.
there,
We need a hanger.
be incredible, inspire. No, that was just one of those moments of the game where the opportunity presents, and I love jumping and love jumping on anyone's head. But I mean, I jumped on his back, but it's still
Look like it.
Yeah.
Sort
But
of.
and we got a goal.
worked.
You passed to Clay, don't you? And he gets a goal.
I don't.
Is that-
Okay.
I
I'll have
actually
to
think I
rewatch.
get smothered. when I
Woody,
kick
Woody blacks out after he does something good. He doesn't worry about the rest of the
Genuinely,
scene.
don't need. It's everyone else's.
He's just
job
waving
to
to
deal
the
with this.
crowd.
I've done my part. You deal with it.
Yeah,
No,
I mean,
it was a
it was
crazy moment. And
such
the
a shocking start to the game for me. I was like, I can't believe I'm like, well, we must be going all right because Easton couldn't walk yesterday. Yeah.
But it was a funny thing, like the amount of effort that would go in to get the ankle up, and then to go out and to do that, and then the rest of the week would be. It was like I can't walk.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah,
but even
yeah.
I couldn't believe like the stuff that we're doing on the field. Like, geez, I couldn't like the amount of pain, because we have the pain relief, right? It's one of the things that's never, and really cleverly, they don't. It's not something the public would like to see.
Yeah. They don't use it throughout the year as much.
No, it depends on the player, depends on the injury, and depends on the
club.
time.
And the club.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the doctor's
what can
proclivity
afford.
to use it. Yeah.
Correct. But with finals, it was like, all bets are off. Let's try everything. So
How many injections would you have per?
6.
6 per. Is that top ups as well?
No, all at the start.
All
Which
at the start, right.
sounds like a crazy amount, but like, I mean, I was probably getting similar at the same, and my ankle was nowhere near as bad as Woody's.
Yeah.
But it's more like just
It's
trying
gotta
to get
cover the whole
coverage,
joint.
basically. They just want to numb everything. And it's very strange to get used to. Because it feels like your foot's about to blow up when you get it done. At least I did. It felt like it's like pressure going in there.
Well, when it goes in the joint, it feels,
Yeah.
you feel that intense bit of pressure.
And I think the other thing is that, like, maybe I'll be interested to hear your thoughts on this. What do you reckon the ratio between like in-season training to finals training? Like, if you looked across the whole list, we were probably doing like collectively an average of, I don't know, 15 Ks a week or something when you're in season. I reckon we went down to about 4 for the whole final series.
It just wasn't anyone on the track.
There was struggling to do drills. It was like all the VFL guys who hadn't been picked were training really hard still because they were, and then the guys who were in the team
numbers.
like, I'm not getting injured.
And there's probably 10 or 12 of the team that were walking around in rehab for the first part of the week.
15 who were just cruising.
Yeah.
Who were getting pulled out early. Like it was just
But it was
crazy.
just like guys couldn't train.
Yeah.
You just couldn't. Like you could only get up for the game.
Well, we didn't notice. Trust the fans. We were going along to Witten Oval and just watching. We were just excited. We didn't care. And also, we don't know what you
There's
normally
plenty
do.
of boys to talk to because no one was kicking the footy.
We're excited to see Bob get a run. We're like, yeah, put him in. Okay, let's try and do some listener mail. There is so much that wanted to go through. Amanda wanted to know, did you get your Premiership medal back after it was stolen?
No, I didn't get my specific medal back, whoever the pricks that took it. But the AFL were really kind and lovely, and they minted me another one. So I have a Premiership medal. It's not the one, unfortunately, that was around my neck on the day, or the one that I bit for the next 3 days straight.
But so we'll be able to tell from dental records.
It's actually in much better nick than my actual medal was. It was dinged up bad.
Yeah.
from
chewing
the
on it.
festivities.
Yeah.
Well, if you see it down the pub, someone's offering you a medal, just check the teeth marks and you go, that is Easton Woods, and you belt them and you bring it over.
Exactly.
That wasn't it's probably, it's funny. I mean, like the medal sentimentally, it'd be nice to obviously have that one. But obviously losing your grandfather's medals was probably the worst part about that.
Yeah,
part.
really, really sad. So, my wife Tiffany, her father had his father's medals made into jewellery. So his dog tags from World War One were a part of what was stolen as well. So
because you come from your brother's in the military.
Yeah,
as well?
my brother's a major in the army at the moment. He's coming home soon. He'll be a colonel at any moment. So he's doing well.
Does anyone laugh at Major Wood?
How's it possible not to?
Actually, yeah, we did get a couple of questions. I just want to know, when you first came to the Dogs, how many people, I just want to see which person even asked this. No, I didn't even write their name down, because just how many people went, Easton's playing for Western. How many times did that dad joke have to be said?
My nickname at the club the entire time was Western.
Oh, there we go.
That was a Bob thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bob, Archie, everyone.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't call you Western.
Eh?
I don't think I called you
I had
Western.
a million different nicknames. It's a footy club.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
the nickname. Nickname capital.
It's just so symptomatic of the fact that we have all this downtime. Like the thing
fill
that people
it with nonsense.
The thing that you don't,
nonsense
you think
stinks.
you're busy when you're playing footy, and then you finish, and obviously you've got a couple of kids. I've got one. Danny, you've got a couple. Like, it's so much busier when you finish.
Yeah.
Like when you're playing, you think you're busy, but it's not the case.
Shane wanted to know: now Charlie Sutton died 2012, so there's never been two living male Premiership captains in the same room. But do you and Ellie Blackburn have a secret handshake?
No, we don't, but we should develop one. If you're listening, Ellie, let's get to work on that.
She loves this show. Should we put it in
She
there?
has been on before. She also has the award for the worst internet in Victoria.
We got to
we
get her
did
in
it online,
person.
and it was just
Disaster.
It was early days.
Jared wanted to know, when you trained forward for a pre-season in 2018 and then got moved back to defence after only a quarter.
Yep.
Was that a relief, or were you rolling your eyes?
It was both. It was to put up the white flag that early. I worked
That's where we get
I worked
thumped by
so
GWS.
hard for three and a half months, and thought I was making progress.
You were one of the most lost people down there I've ever seen. Like when you first came down, because we would have been training together a lot at that stage. And I was like, oh, this is new. This is like, you've got all of the things that should make a good forward, except that you hadn't played there.
Nope.
And it's such an intuitive place to play.
And I mean, I think in that first game against GWS, I was playing more as like the deep option, which
that's right.
upon reflection was not the spot to be.
Is that when it was like,
Well, I had
degrees?
Phil
Was that
Davis
that
holding me, and Nick Haynes was spare, jumping across in front. So I was like, haven't touched it, and don't have a prospect of touching it at this point.
doesn't look threatening?
Not ideal. Not ideal.
I'm just wearing a jumper at this stage.
That was dark. That was darkness.
We had one of our little fans called Chaz. I think you might know him, Boydie.
Little is right. Yeah.
This is Chaz Licadello. He wanted to know which player has most pleasantly surprised you as how they've developed.
JJ.
Oh, really?
So playing with him at the start, he's such a quiet individual, particularly when he first came to the club. And when him coming along, JJ's a really kind, really funny,
Softly spoken.
really softly spoken guy. And that wasn't the kind of prevailing successful
That wasn't what Brendan
prototype
was,
that was being produced at the club at that time. You know, we wanted to be, as Tom said, it was a contested team, and JJ wasn't a contested player. His skills were obviously
broke his shoulder. I remember that so vividly.
Yeah, he got his collarbone smashed.
That's
was
right.
it?
Jez got him. Cameron.
Yeah, he got absolutely crushed.
Up in Canberra, I think.
And it's just like, oh, maybe this guy's too slight, and can't use his gifts because that steps too far. But then watching how he developed, and then with Bevo coming along, and all of a sudden now as a defender you didn't have to defend from behind and physically dominate
Or
your
at all,
opponent.
really, like at times.
Well, he didn't. That
Yeah.
was the amazing thing, because he was so dangerous and so fast, and because forwards were giving him front spot and didn't realise that, oh my God, as soon as he takes a step, you're done.
Yep.
You literally have no opportunity to stop him now. And because that's high up at the stoppage and he's right there, if that ball gets to him, he's running straight at our forwards.
He was a midfielder almost.
Yep. And it was just it was incredible to see him develop, and I think much like myself, he would have surprised even himself with what the lofty heights and becoming a. If you had told him he'd be a Norm Smith medalist in 2014.
I'm going to get you two into a room, and after I got to invent the time machine, of course. Tristan, this Boydie probably won't even know what this moment was, but Tristan asked, and I'd blocked this from my memory for obvious reasons. 2010 v Hawthorn. There was a game where we lose by 3 points to them on a Friday night. You could have kicked the winner. In fact, you did kick it in, and the siren goes as the ball's in the air.
Oh.
And Ryan Griffin had heard the siren. And
he doesn't try and stop
the ball, and I think it's Gunston takes the mark. But if he'd shepherded it, even though the siren had gone, as the ball's still alive, if it had gone through, that would have counted. Now, I didn't know this. I learnt that on the set of the film The Merger, because that's how the team wins the grand final, even though the siren's gone. Was this discussed in match review? And did Rocket know that that rule, and who had to tell him?
That's an incredible deep dive. That was somewhere in my memory. I didn't even know that. That's amazing.
We'll send it over.
No, I remember it. I remember at the time kicking the ball and being like, get him, move him, don't give it. And then he obviously marks it, and it was like, oh God, and I don't kick many.
No. And
especially to win it.
And kicking goals late and caught it. Like, there is something very special about doing that. You don't get to do it very
He
often.
would have had to actually tackle him and suplex him to get him away.
Things you get away with shepherding.
That's a very good point. We've got to remember this is Hawthorn in the early 2010s, so absolutely would have been a free kick and probably 2 50-metre penalties against him.
But no, I don't think it was brought up in the review. I don't think it was.
We play till after the final siren, boys.
I think it might have been one of those ones, the game was lost before then, I think.
All right, we're on it. Oh, it's only 3 points. We could anyway. Let's not. We don't care about Hawthorn.
I'm going to look that up on YouTube now. I want to see it.
Do it. Yeah, the link's on there.
We'll send it to you.
Good.
We've almost finished our hour. It's very sad that you won't be at our live show, March 11, Comics Lounge. Tickets going fast, so please get your tickets now. There is a link up on our socials. What would be, this is a question from Danny, what would be your favourite memory, though, of that month on field? Like, we're going to watch the first quarter of the elimination final and a quarter of all the other ones.
Of the Hawthorn and the last of the last two.
The two final quarters of GWS. And
we're going to review them.
We're reviewing them. Yeah, we're not watching them.
Legally, reviewing.
Reviewing.
Look out.
It's legal to do.
Okay.
Your Honour.
We're not going to, reviewing.
I like it. I think one of the moments more on reflection that I really enjoy was that game against the semi-final with Hawthorn when we kicked, I think, 9 points before we kicked a goal. Or
Tory kicked about
points.
7 of them.
So Tory had the yips.
It was weird.
And
beyond what I've ever, I
Yeah,
didn't know they were real.
Yeah,
but they
genuine happens. And he's the best goal kicker
just about ever.
I think statistically. Is that right?
He's one or two now. Yeah.
Okay.
He got a few behinds later in his career.
It's a pretty low bar for entry to, I think, so 50 goals or something to get into that category of percentages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he kicked a lot. What did he kick? A couple hundred goals probably.
Yeah, easily. But I just remember that.
Did you get our first goal?
I did.
Yeah, that's
did.
right.
But this isn't that.
I knew it was someone handsome.
But I'm glad you brought it up.
In what game?
The semi-final.
Did you?
I did.
What are you doing down there?
I don't know.
Playing in front.
Exactly.
Playing
No
in front.
barrier, mate. No barrier.
Trying to take a mark over Lockie Whitfield. Just getting ready.
But no, it was more that sense that we were on top, but we weren't kicking the goal. And I think the easy thing to do at that time would to be we are squandering our opportunity, which
Yes.
obviously that's what we were doing.
It felt like the finals of 07, 08, 09.
But-
9, 10. Yeah.
Yeah, to you, I'm sure it did.
Yeah,
to
it did to
us,
I've seen this movie.
To us, completely different. So this
so
was
good.
what was it's okay. We can.
We were dominating.
completely
I remember.
dominating. And
Not-
it was
not
more
yet.
it wasn't the, oh, fuck, we're missing our opportunity. It was more,
We're better than them.
no, this isn't going to last.
Yeah.
That's how I felt on
Yeah.
the field. Is just,
I felt that
this
in
will-
every game. I
That's
reckon
not
after the
going to
first
happen.
one.
Like, we are just more. Just keep more, same. What we're doing is fucking working.
Yeah.
And that shit will sort itself out. We're not going to miss 10.
They seemed
we're not going
old.
to miss 12.
They seemed like slow and tired.
Woody, don't play cricket. Come to the show. Imagine this.
So it's
Imagine
like
this.
we can do that. We're like, and I remember even as well, Jackson McRae and I used to drive for that month. We drove to whatever the games we could drive to, which was only the semi, the granny, and
That'd be
just
it.
the
The
semi
other
and
two were
semi and the granny.
Perth and Sydney.
And I remember driving to the semi-final and talking with Jack, and it just felt like there was always next week. And that was a really,
Yep.
really real feeling. And I, in hindsight, if we had lost, obviously it would have been wrong, but we didn't. So it felt really true. And it was,
And you have to
it
feel
felt
like that,
universal too. It felt across. It was
Yeah.
just like, no, there's like,
Yeah,
didn't feel like
yeah.
we would drive. It never felt like it was our last game.
The way I've described it is I never felt like we were ever going to lose after the first one. The first one I didn't know. But then after we played so well in that final over in Perth, it was like, no one's going to beat us now.
Yeah.
But then again, you tell yourself that story after it all happened.
you do,
but
right.
you kind of have to have this naive confidence, because otherwise you'll think about reality and you'll lose. Because that's sort of what
absolutely.
gets you get in the way of yourself a bit, I
do.
think.
Yeah. 97, I thought we were definitely going to win. But anyway, let's not end on a down note. So yeah, please get your tickets to our live show. Also, if you want to see my stand-up show, Melbourne Comedy Festival, I'm doing the Melbourne Town Hall every Monday with my show Hard Nut, which is about my vasectomy going badly. Yeah, you guys talk about your injuries, but I've endured way worse. So yeah, tickets are on sale for that. Also, if you're an artsy person and you live in Adelaide, this is a long shot. But anyway, I'm there doing a Shakespeare play next week because I'm
All 7 of
cultured
you.
as- Man, 7 would be great. If there are 7 Bulldogs fans into Shakespeare, I will be amazed. So yeah, come to that next week. But Woody, do you have anything to plug? Are you back doing the Bulldogs podcast?
Yes, that's in
Our
development.
rival?
Your rival. No, it's we'll be doing a podcast with the Dogs, but we're just working on that at the moment. It'll come out some point during the season.
I think if you're looking for a co-host, Ellie Blackburn. There we go. The 2
And we
Premiership
can work
captains.
on a handshake then.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be fun. I'd listen to that. Boydie, anything you want to plug?
No, mate.
Come to the live show.
Come to the live show.
Or come and watch me play cricket.
Yeah.
Semi-final,
not
we're
on the
gonna
same
win.
time.
One's in Melbourne.
You can live stream it. Hey, it live streams. You can have it up during your show. You can keep it.
Can we do a cross? Can we do a cross?
Cross
to
the
you?
pump.
yes. Because we are going
When
to
you're
take a
fielding it long on, let's do a cross. That would be awesome.
done. Hey, Woody's part of the show. Yes.
Give my childhood to that roar of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had two loves, the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there. And they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets.